I'm looking out here at the 105 freeway or the 110. I don't know. I don't know which is which. I'm not out here enough to know my way around real well. I'm just good enough to be dangerous. And as I look out my window here, which I turn the computer around, but I don't think you get a real good view of it, I can see the Hollywood sign way off in the distance, but it is kind of foggy and smoggy here today. It's not a clear day. In fact, Ohio State was going to practice, and according to Pat Murphy, who's with me here from Bucknuts, they might be moving where they're practicing today from down at Carson, California, the soccer stadium area, to maybe an indoor area today because of the rain. So no rain expected for the game, though, on Saturday. Temperature 60 degrees, sunshine, and like a 2% chance of rain here on Saturday. So the Buckeyes can't blame the surroundings or the weather for any misfortune this time around.
Folks, this is the last time we're going to have a game week for quite some time until it's Notre Dame and the first weekend of September. So jump on into the live chat with your comments and questions about Ohio State's matchup against Utah and anything else concerning Ohio State football. We got Steve here from what is not necessarily today sunny Los Angeles, but expects to be here later in the week. All right, Steve. Well, I guess first and foremost are these 4 opt-outs. The 2 wide receivers, Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson. You got Nicholas Petit-Friere along the offensive line. We've got Haskell Garrett opting out at the D tackle position. So I guess if we start at wide receiver, we're talking about the most talented wide receiver unit in America. We're talking about the deepest position on the team, either side of the ball, but still, when you're talking about 2 elite talents, they're going to be missed.
Yeah, no question about it. You talk about guys with Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave, who just made touchdowns rain for Ohio State this year. I think one of them had 13 and one of them had 12, I believe. This year, they're not going to play in this game, although Chris Olave, it's kind of weird, has been practicing, and you just wonder if on game day he just says the heck with it and puts his uniform on and trots out there one last time with his teammates and maybe, checks himself in for a few plays. You never know. That would be really a great benefit if that happens. I'm not predicting it to happen. As of right now, it's not going to happen, but he has still been practicing with the team, which is kind of weird that a guy who, is protecting himself for the NFL draft is still going to practice. He's not going through any hitting drills or anything stupid like that. So maybe because of that, maybe he won't play, period. But at any rate, Ohio State has built some tremendous depth at wide receivers. We know they've got Jackson Smith-Njigba, who had just a huge year for the Buckeyes this year. All 3 of them were considered at an All-American level on different teams, and it was just kind of hard. I think there should have been a Biletnikoff Award winner out of the 3 of them had Ohio State thrown its weight behind one of them and said, this is our guy, the best of the best. Vote for him. Instead, they split that vote and ended up going to some undeserving wide receiver somewhere else. The Pittsburgh guy, maybe? I don't know. So, any rate, I think Smith-Njigba is going to find out what it's like to be chucked and marked like never before, because you don't have to guard against Olave and Wilson taking the top off the defense. And now they're going to really stilt their defense toward him and really going to make his life miserable, I think, in this game. So it's going to be up to Emeka Buka, Marvin Harrison, Julian Fleming, those 3 guys to step up. Jeremy Ruckert at tight end will need to play an outstanding game. If he can get him 4, 5, 6 catches, that would be huge as well. And C.J. Stroud is going to have to be very judicious in how he spreads the ball around. Travion Henderson was a great release valve coming out of the backfield. So I think it's going to take a village to replicate the kind of production that Ohio State had I think Stroud was somewhere around third, fourth, or fifth nationally in passing yards per game at 351 yards per game. This year, he had 393, I think, in the loss to Michigan. And so when you look at it in those terms, it's going to take a village to replicate that kind of production that you get from Olave and Wilson not being there. I wish you did have a game or two where maybe Wilson was out, like I think at Nebraska he didn't play, and Smith-Njigba had like 14 or 15 catches, whatever it was that day, set a new Ohio State record. But not having Olave there, that's another matter unto itself. So uncharted territory for this offense, but at the same time, a preview of what Ohio State fans have coming down the pike. And I asked Smith-Njigba today at the offensive interviews if he thinks this group of receivers can basically have that same kind of impact that the three that he was part of this year could. And he had no doubt. He said, no doubt in my mind, we're going to be just as good next year with the guys we have. And of course, helps having a pretty good quarterback throwing you the football too.
And you see this often during bowl season with rosters that are loaded to this degree. So there's not many of these teams in the country, but when you've got guys waiting in the wings that are just by measurements of talent just as good, they're not as experienced, they haven't produced, they haven't proven it, but they're just as talented, that with a full several weeks of bowl prep and work with the starting quarterback, and more so than they get during the regular season, and their time to shine and cut loose, that you determine that, hey, these guys are nearly as good and they're ready to take the reins and run with it.
Yeah, no doubt. I think we've seen over the years different times where guys have emerged in bowl practices and in bowl games when they were shoved in there. Von Bell didn't play much in 2013, but came on, had an interception in the Orange Bowl in 2013, and then he became an All-American or All-Big Ten player the following year when Ohio State won the national championship. And then another guy is Wyatt Davis, who Kevin Wilson brought up. It was here at the Rose Bowl 3 years ago where there was an injury or something happened, and he got shoved in there, and I think he had to start for somebody on the offensive line. And then he starts for 2 years for Ohio State the next 2 years and goes and jumps off to the NFL. So, this has happened before. And, it's unusual that you would lose 3 starters, all of them on one All-American team or another, off your roster. And certainly all 4 of the guys, including Haskell Garrett over on defense, were all Big Ten players, first team, I believe. Well, that's not entirely true because not all the receivers were first team receivers. But at any rate, you get what I'm driving at, that you lose this amount of talent. People on our message boards have questioned the culture, the brotherhood. Don't call it a brotherhood if you don't really mean it, these kind of things. And I just think that's totally disingenuous for people to make value judgments about the guys, because this is their life, and we're talking about 10 or 20 times more money in a 3 or 4 year period than any of us will probably see in a lifetime. And I think that it's important for these guys to secure their future. And I don't have a problem with it. Everybody brings up the Jalen Smith example from Notre Dame. I was at that game. I was in the tunnel when they brought him through. It was really weird. Ohio State was playing Notre Dame in that Fiesta Bowl, I think after the 2015 season. And in rapid fire succession, Jalen Smith blew out his knee, and Joey Bosa got ejected for targeting against, I think Kaiser was the Notre Dame quarterback. And I'm standing down there in one of the tunnels for whatever reason, and here comes Jalen Smith, and not far before or after that, here comes Joey Bosa, going right by me. So it was, the star power in that game got evaporated because of stuff that happened on the field. So, it is what it is.